Okay, let's call to order the regularly scheduled meeting of the Zoning Commission for the town of Simsbury for Monday, May 5th. First order of business is appointment of alternates. Ned, you can sit in for Will Fisk, and Mike, you can sit in for Derek, all right? Speaking of Mr. Fisk, we did get his resignation, and so we have an open spot. I wonder technically if that is a spot that gets to vote, Hiram? This is not a rhetorical question. Maybe because he's resigned, it hasn't been filled, we can use an alternate to vote?
Yes.
You can still do that, okay, all right.
The charter says you are in place until your appointment.
Is replaced? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I suspect the town committees will.
Chooses not to show up.
Yeah, okay, got it. So in any event, everyone at the table is seated and will be active to vote. Next item of business is approval of minutes for the April 21st meeting. I did read through them, pretty carefully, thought that they properly represented some interesting topics. David?
I'd like to ask if, in the event that it's not a unanimous vote, that the recording be made of who voted which way.
I think that's appropriate, especially one where it was a tie vote like.
And
Without referring to a specific application, let me just make one comment too. When you do decide to vote no on an application, you need to be clear about why you're voting no. Just in general, okay? Just for example,
Okay.
hear that from the town attorney at some point.
it's also, if you vote to reconsider, only somebody who voted
On the
for it, I
prevailing
think,
side,
can do that.
Okay.
can bring it up for reconsideration.
Right.
And in the case of a 3-3 vote, I'm not sure what that means, frankly, Dave.
The prevailing side, that would mean that the
Negative,
negative side could vote to
because
reconsider.
that was the conclusion.
We'll have to bring it back up.
Okay.
But I think you only can do that after 24 hours or some crazy thing. There's a time limit.
Under Robert's rules, I think you can go back. I mean,
I think before the meeting adjourned, I believe is what it says, but I'll just look that up for you.
Okay.
Yeah,
that
that-
might be some town regulation, but under Robert's rule, you can bring it up for reconsideration almost any time.
Okay.
That was my,
Anyway,
No, that was fine, and I'll just comment, I thought paying attention as to whether we do a motion in the affirmative or negative is a good thing to keep track of. So that was well played, as
so
we
we
like to
should
say.
amend that motion to say the three who voted for and against.
So can we reconstruct that?
You and
For her?
I, and
Yeah, the three of
the
us.
three of us voted for it.
Voted for it,
Which
and
one are we talking about?
the first one, Schoenhart. So Ryan, Pomeroy, and Gray voted in favor.
Line 139, yeah.
Yeah, Marecki,
Peters,
Peterson, and Fisk voted no. Correct?
Part for favor is Ryan.
Pomeroy, Gray.
And
Gray. Okay?
we would like to get another candidate for secretary too.
It's a good point. Again, rule of order as to how quickly we need to fill that.
You don't need to do it immediately, but we need to put it on the agenda, obviously, before we do that. We'll have election of the secretary.
Okay. So-
You may want to wait until you get the membership straightened out. I'm not sure about that.
Okay.
That's really a call, you know.
Do we need an acting secretary in the meantime, or?
It's probably not a bad idea, sure.
Okay. All right. Derek has offered to help, so I'd be glad to let Derek do it, unless someone else had an overwhelming desire. All right?
Just get a clarification, too.
Yeah, that's fine. So let's appoint Derek the interim acting secretary.
Typically, in the past, what's happened is when the secretary isn't here, for one reason or another, they just appoint someone to do the call.
Right.
You know, the chairman just says, you do the call, whoever you
Okay.
want to have it do it.
Anything else, Hiram? What?
Just to clarify, the vote on the Winwood application, was that unanimous?
It was unanimous.
Okay.
So it was the same 6 people voting no. Actually, no. 6 people voted yes, because the proposal was right?
No, we voted no, because the proposal was to accept his application for a special exception for a in-law apartment, and we all voted no.
Okay.
So it was unanimous, we'll go back and we'll just verify that, but we'll.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Okay, so without any other comments on the minutes, we'll move adoption of the minutes as amended. Next item is the consent item, application number 14-20 of Ted Zentek, applicant, Darlar LLC owner for a sign permit for Allstate on the property located at,
Is someone supposed to read the call of the meeting before?
this is not a public hearing, so this,
No call.
not for the consent item, Ned, yeah. For a sign permit for Allstate on the property located at 730 Hot Meadow Street, map G10, block 227, lot 2, zone SC1.
Commission, I believe the commission has the information on this. This is a replacement for an existing sign on the front of the building at 730. Same location as the Old Town Barber Shop sign. The only change is that it'll reflect, will be an Allstate blue instead of the brown sign that says Old Town Barber Shop. I spoke with the Design Review Board chairman. She indicated that they had no problem with the color, sizes within the regulations, locations within the regulations of the previously approved plan, and that's why it's recommended for consent agenda at this time, Mr. Chairman.
So what makes it unified there? Because we have multiple colors.
There are, Kevin, and that's, there was a memo that Mike Glidden did for us a while ago. A number of the signs that are on that building haven't actually gotten a permit, and so we're trying to rectify that. However, at this time, because there are a number of signs of different colors, we felt it was unfair to hold up this particular applicant. The size and the location of the signs are shown on the site plan. The colors on the approved plan are not shown. And so with regard to color, we didn't think it was appropriate to make a judgment, a retroactive judgment with regard to color. So the location and size of the signs is shown on the original site plan.
So I'll ask a general question, which I've asked before, which is, from a design perspective, how strongly do we feel about uniform sign packages as opposed to branding? I know this has come up before, it's a little more than a rhetorical question, but is that as both a zoning issue and a design issue, is that highly desirable, reasonably desirable, or does it really matter?
Historically, it's been pretty desirable. We've had a number of battles over the years up at Antonio's Restaurant. A major wanted to move in there, and basically, these majors all had their own signs,
Right.
their brand. And it was pretty much, they have to change everybody else's sign to their sign if they want to do it. A building like this where you've got, that yoga sign in the window, which is probably not even close to being something that should be on part of a uniform sign plan. A few of the other ones are nice, they're dark, brown with white on it, they look at least consistent.
How long has that yoga sign been there?
I don't have a specific timeframe on that, Mr.
Long,
Chairman.
long time, or?
No, I don't think it's been terribly long, but we are working with that owner now to get that corrected.
I was going to say, given the action we declined for the friendly dentist down at the tennis shop, this would seem highly contradictory to that.
Yes. Yeah, and we realize that, and that's why the code enforcement officer's been working with that person.
Okay.
We expect that to be corrected very soon.
Just noticing how convenient it was that there were only 4 windows there for the 4 letters.
Yeah.
Apropos of nothing. All right, so as a general rule, new developments, we would encourage multiple tenant buildings to have a uniform sign. What'd you call it?
Unified.
Uniform.
Yeah,
Uniform.
Unified.
Well, this property has one, right?
And as to
It's not being
size,
followed,
size
though.
and shape, but not color.
Not
Size
color?
and location. The thing I want to be clear, I've been, worked with a number of towns where that matter was litigated, color, for example, was litigated, and Realty World in Greenwich, for example, litigated in the town and won. It's really very, very difficult to stick to a specific color and tell a particular tenant they've got to stick to a certain color when in fact they have other branding issues and so on that they think are important to their economic survival. So I just would say we just need to be careful about that. That's all I'm saying, that there needs to be some reasonable, some rationale.
I think it makes the
Survival
building,
or ego.
I think it makes the building too vanilla. I support the style and design and the size, but again, that can be marketing for a company. And when you drive by a building and there's multiple tenants in there and you see 5 brown signs with gold lettering, I think some variety should be allowed, within respect to the colors. I mean, there can be some outlandish colors.
The footprint is key,
Yeah.
and
That's
the
right.
relative unanimity of size and shape
Right.
is good, but to deny somebody the ability to use their color and their logo
I don't have
seems,
I don't have a problem with coloring.
that's why I brought it up. I don't have it's not a big deal for me personally, but
Well, if we saw something that was outlandish and we thought was improper, we'd certainly bring it to the commission's attention, but
Okay.
by and large, we tend to.
Well, I personally feel if it gets by design review board, then it's ready
it's
for
okay.
us.
Yeah, okay.
'Cause they're
All right,
pretty
so
good
that's a
about
long way of saying that this consent item is consented to, unless I hear any firm
Isn't that
objection.
something we invented for no discussion?
Kevin? do you have-
Because I'm not sure how you handle the other two, though, that aren't. I guess we're only dealing with the Allstate one?
Yeah, we're not gonna go
The
back.
fact that the others are
That's
non-compliant?
correct. That's correct, Kevin, because what we're trying to do is get the rest of them in compliance with the original site plan that was approved, and that's what we're working on now.
So everybody else has to get to the same size, but if they came in and wanted to do a different color, we'd probably let them. Is that the answer? Are you concerned about the size or the color?
Well, part of it was it's a hodgepodge of signs on the place right now. It is very not uniform.
But they're really not in front of us tonight, and what Hiram is saying, that's the zoning enforcement officer's duty to police that.
How many, is he looking for one sign?
Yes.
We're only
Well,
voting on this one
actually,
sign.
I don't want to speak for Kevin, but I think what you're saying is that if we approve the Allstate sign, when the next guy comes back and it complies color-wise, size-wise, that anything will go as long as it's color. It would be hard to deny them,
Within standards,
Right.
within our standards.
which will effectively have the effect of nullifying the uniform sign code, other than as it relates to size and location.
On occasion, the zoning board of appeals has been known to give people neon signs, for instance. And, which becomes a problem for everybody else in town that wants a neon sign. And again, if we let this guy have a blue sign, we're gonna have the same problem again. I personally I think the blue sign, if it's typical to the size we have there, or the Here Again Center or one, I think it'd probably be okay. It's not outrageous, it's the same size and shape, but
This sign is 2 by 8, so it's smaller than the old town.
so it's not gonna be the others look like what,
It's the
one by
same
6 by
size as
1 or?
Old Town Barber Shop sign. It's a little smaller than that.
Okay, so I'm going to ask for a motion that we approve this, since there has been
So moved.
substantial discussion about it.
Second.
All right, so all in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed?
Say no.
All right, Kevin says no. Mr. Gray says no. The other 5 voted affirmative, so it does pass. All right, so that brings us to the call that I'm going to ask Ned to read.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Do we have the call? Is the call written? Sorry.
Allstate's trademark.
Yeah, it's
You
the
know,
color.
So, it's sooner or later.
People queue in on
The
that.
litigation, I can totally see them going, that's our trademark, you can't change that.
People queue in on that.
I think I got it here. Legal notice, Town of Simsbury,
That's it.
zoning commission regular meeting. The zoning commission of the town of Simsbury will hold a public hearing at a regular meeting to be held on Monday, May 5th, 2014, at 7 p.m. in the main meeting room of the Simsbury Town Offices, 933 Hot Meadow Street, Simsbury, Connecticut, on the following. A, application number 14-21 of Farm to Family agent, Town of Simsbury owner, for a special exception pursuant to Article 10, Section H of the Simsbury zoning regulations for a temporary liquor permit for a series of events on the property located at 73 Wolcott Road, map I-01, block 439, lot 002, zone I-1. At this hearing, interested persons may appear and be heard, and written communication will be received. William S. Fisk, Secretary, dated 21st of April 2014 at Simsbury, Connecticut.
Right, so we have a spokesperson for the applicant.
Hello.
Hi. Will you please come and use the microphone because we are being recorded. Thank you.
Sure, it's Wendy, W-E-N-D-I, Fralick, F-R-A-L-I-C-K. Good evening. How is everyone?
Good, really
Well,
good.
thank you.
Thank you for allowing me to come here this evening to speak with you all. I'm Wendy Fralick. I'm the Director of Development for Farm to Family. And for what Mr. Cosgrove just said, we are seeking a special exception pursuant to Article 10, Section H of the Simsbury zoning regulations to obtain a temporary liquor permit for 3 events that we have scheduled for this year. The first event is a Simsbury Chamber Business After Hours, which we would like to host at Community Farm of Simsbury, and then 2 farm-to-table dinners, also to be held at Community Farm of Simsbury. I'm not sure how specific you want my details, so if you have questions, I would be happy to answer them. If you want me just to talk more, I can do that as well.
Just give us a rough idea of how many people are expected and the dates for each of these.
Absolutely. So the Simsbury Chamber Business After Hours, we are expecting 50 to 60 people, and that is scheduled for June 9th.
Rain date?
There is none.
Okay.
And then the farm-to-table dinners,
Yeah.
we are expecting 90 to 100 people. And the first one we have scheduled for July 23rd, rain date July 24th, and August 20th, rain date August 21st.
So we've done this for you in the past,
Yes, sir.
correct?
Yes.
And is this the same number as last year, or?
Yes.
And we've had no problems with these events, this location, so. And you're just serving beer and wine?
Yes.
True?
Police didn't have to come, break
No.
up fights or anything?
No fights. Mr. Glynn looked into that. We were all good.
And you have tips, trained servers?
Yes, sir.
all of that. Okay. Any other questions?
You're all invited.
Is anyone here from the public to speak to this topic? All right, I'd be looking for a motion to close the public hearing.
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We should act on this sometime within the next hour and a half.
I
Or
also
3
have
minutes.
the notary. Do you need that? It says you bring it.
That's
You
for
need it.
Hiram. Okay. All right, thank you very much, Wendy.
Thank
All
you.
right, so the next item is discussion and possible action on any agenda item, including the item we just listened to. So we'll put that one up.
Can we make a motion on the?
We could do
Okay,
that.
all right, let's make a motion then to approve the application 1421 of Farm to Family Agent, Town of Simsbury owner for a special exception. Not going to be the rest.
Second?
All right, I would like to just amend the motion with one sort of general caveat, that we, as much as we enjoy having you here tonight, if for whatever reason your plans change and you want to move a date or not, we're approving generally this 3 events in the general time frame that you have applied for, weather permitting, and if they move from one date to the other. So the motion needs to say, or other acceptable dates in the summer of 2014, something like that.
Now, they have to get public gathering permits for these events, correct?
Yeah.
So if we it just, as part of that, just asking to notify staff if the dates do change, that'd be
If
great.
the dates change, you notify it to staff. Did I make this more difficult than it needs to be for you? Yes. But that's what makes life interesting, isn't it?
I'll just go
All
back.
right. We just don't want you to feel like you have to come back or wonder whether you should come back if you move it a week forward or a week back or whatever because of weather or
You have a
construction.
rainy
or-
weekend, yeah.
Yeah, all right?
Thank you.
So it's been moved and seconded with those, with that suggested amendment. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? None? Approved. All right?
Very much.
Great, thank you. Next item is application number 13-59 of David A. Richmond, agent for Darlar LLC, owner for a site plan amendment for the installation of a permanent handicap ramp on the property located at 730 Hot Meadow Street, map G10, block 227, lot 2, zone SC1.
Good evening, I'm David Richmond. I own 730 Hot Meadow Street, and I would like to start by saying I actually haven't been in front of any of the boards for about 5 years. And I would like to say that I believe the process has worked. I went up to design review a couple of times, and we had hired contractors that unfortunately waste a lot of our time and a lot of our money, and they didn't know what they were doing, and staff's time and money. So design review had given us some suggestions, and we took those suggestions and we've implemented them into the design of this new ramp. Originally, the ramp, just so you know some history, the ramp was going to actually be in the front of the building, and we actually didn't know there was any other way, and for a number of reasons, we thought it would really not be in conformity with the streetscape that we're all trying to adhere to. We tried other options, running it from the rear of the building, which didn't work because of the slope and grade, and we actually hired a design architect from town who was St. Denis Architects, who wisely came up with these new drawings, which made a lot of sense to everybody involved. So what I'll do is I'll just go over the picture first. The existing grasses are there now. This is what they look like today, the little brown spots. And then in about a month and a half, they'll be about 5 to 6 feet high, which we leave them like that all winter, and then we cut them down a couple of weeks ago. We're proposing to put 6 arborvitaes in the front of the ramp, which now if you take out the drawing, you'll see that the ramp is going to start on the side of the driveway. It's going to go north, I believe about 6 feet. Then it's going to head east, which is the side of the building, head back north, head back south, and then come up the side of the building, and then connect into the newly built deck, which will be an extension of the existing deck and the same material on the existing deck. And it's just a great workaround. So from a streetscape perspective, unless you walk up to the ramp, you won't know it's there. I mean, unless someone comes and cuts these trees down, which does happen sometimes. But, and also all the foliage isn't even in yet on all the trees that border our property with Bank of America. So it's a great workaround. We had a prior meeting today at 5:30, and everybody was really pleasantly in recommendation of this, and thought we made a lot of changes that they got to see implemented. So we're doing this, actually, the building is non-conforming. we're doing this for one tenant, Here Again Center, which is they have a really big business in town, and they cater to the, hearing impaired population, which is actually growing. And you'd think it was mostly, seniors, and the reality is it's all ages. They treat lots of children, but many of their customers need help. They have walkers and they have wheelchairs, and it's important to their business. So we are actually removing the temporary ramp that's been up for a while and replacing it with a handicap ADA compliant, built by a contractor who's built them in town before and came before you guys. He's the person that built the ramp for St. Mary's Church. That's how I found him. I went to St. Mary's and said, "Who built this?" That's the guy I need, who understands the regs. And then inside the ramp, as you guys know, you have to have metal railings, which will be the same color as the existing railings, which are gray. So it will blend in beautifully. It will be an enhancement to the property. And if you have any questions, comments,
The drawing that was on this website didn't look like this, though. It was different. Came out into the parking lot, and I thought, no?
there was an original.
We received this today, Mr. Chairman, so
Oh, so it's,
Yeah, there was an original drawing.
It's a very different
there's a
explanation for what
huge
I have in the
improvement
packet.
over
Oh,
what
it's
was
so
on the
much
website.
better.
Okay,
I mean, it's
You see that,
night
Rob?
and day.
yeah.
We're thrilled. It only takes a good woman architect to change everybody's
I was
mind.
just, I was trying to get back to what I had looked like, and I said, that didn't, because I had sort of questions about
That was
parking
awful.
spaces and all the rest of it. Didn't,
Figured out that north, south, east,
Yeah.
west way.
okay.
And we're going to take two of the spaces that are in the front, and we're going to reserve them for Here Again and
Okay.
make it one handicap space for, specific for the use of this tenant. Because the other parts of the building are not accessible by any other means but your legs.
Okay,
There'll be one
great.
non-conforming sign on the building.
And if you have any questions about the signs, I could answer them, even though that hearing's closed.
Yeah, let's not go there.
You don't need to do that.
On this picture, what is this thing on the side here, the little spiral?
That was Steve Fish.
Is it still there?
About as far as I'll go. Yeah, it's still there,
Okay, and
not
it will fit- and it
used.
fits in here? Or is it farther back than?
Oh, it's way back.
Okay.
And this is wide enough, just looking at it in the drawing, it complies with the
Mm-hmm.
ADA requirements.
Oh, yeah, ADA, you have to by law.
Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Richmond? And when, okay, great.
It's not a fire escape, it looks like one.
All right, thank you very much.
It was at one point.
A fire escape.
But what we did was we did some work with the fire enforcement officer, and we changed some of the entranceways to that third floor and built some rated walls and put up a door and put up another separation wall because of that spiral staircase that isn't used.
Are you keeping it now for ambiance?
Yeah, exactly, just to remind us of what people used to do.
All right, great, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Hiram, do you have other comments you want to be sure we're considering?
As Mr. Richmond said previously this evening, Design Review Board did look at the application. They had a couple of comments in terms of their approval, just want to mention them for the record, is that the details with regard to the building code of the ramp need to be worked out with the building official, and that should be part of motion as well. Handrails, metal handrails on the ramp and returns to be dark in color, black or dark brown or gray or whatever was previously there. The 6 arborvitae, as opposed to, I think on the one plan you have, it may show 4, but Mr. Richmond made it clear earlier that the 6 arborvitae are planned there, and Design Review Board agreed with that as well, and the grasses are to be planted as well. And then finally, there was a question originally on whether the material was pressure-treated wood or composite, and that the Design Review Board decided that they would recommend composite. Pressure-treated wood was acceptable to the building official, and that was fine, but those were their comments. And so should the board decide to approve it, I might just say that as approved by the Design Review Board on 5/5/14.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions or comments from the commissioners? You looking for a motion? And a second? Second from Dave Ryan. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? You are approved. Thank you. Nice design at the buzzer. Excellent. Well done. All right, great. Next order of business is application 14-18 of Michael Wallace, applicant, Town of Simsbury, owner, for a site plan amendment for the installation of a scoreboard by the clubhouse on the property located at 100 Old Farms Road, Zone R40. All right?
Michael Wallace, just like 60 Minutes, so easy to spell.
It's not making quite the same money, though.
No, and I'm alive and above ground, so.
It'll work.
So anyway, we're looking to install a scoreboard up at the clubhouse to replace one that is currently hung on the side of the building. And every time it rains, we get soaked with this thing. And it's inadequate in size, and quite honestly, it's served its use, and it's not up to the standards that we would currently like to have. So we'd like to enhance that scoreboard. And so we've had folks donate funds, and we've got, you have the pictures of it there. And basically, the size of this is 4x5. Each panel's 4x5. There's 3 of them that are on posts, and then there are 2 that open up, okay, wings, so that they can go to as wide as 8 feet wide on each side. And the center section is just a 4x5 white board. And the wings fold over so that we can secure them to prevent vandalism. They would be stained brown on the back side, so they've
So
kind
you
of matched the
collapse it
building.
when it's not being used?
Correct.
Whiteboard suitable for writing on?
Yes, sir. It would be for message.
Keep it upside down, or are you?
Oh, it's just a function of the fact that the posts are 4 feet long to go into the ground for the concrete and everything. So to assemble it, it's a heck of a lot easier to assemble it upside down and digitally flip the picture.
Okay.
If that, you understand what I'm saying?
The picture's upside down,
Yes, I
You
understand
got
that.
that.
that's all.
Okay, you just got to digitally flip it.
It goes along with the fact that golf is the lowest score winnings, I believe.
Yes, you see? And the
I
apple.
thought golfers all kept their own score under penalty of death or something.
Yeah, they do until you have a tournament, and then everybody wants to know what everybody else shot. Okay, so if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer
Where is
them.
this going?
This is going to the north side of Clubhouse,
Okay,
and it's going to be in that little triangle. If you're familiar with where the hot dog cart
Yeah.
sits, it would be across from the hot dog cart. So it will not be visible from the restaurant. It's not going to be blocking any views or
going
anything.
to be under the eaves that stick out? Or is
No,
it
sir.
gonna be
It's going to be freestanding.
Freestanding?
Out near
Yes.
the putting green, right?
Yeah, just on this side opposite the putting green,
Oh.
opposite the
Will have
hot
a
dog
roof on
stand.
it?
Yes. Yep.
And this is in front of us because it's an amendment to a site plan that's been
Correct.
approved, right?
Yeah. Correct.
So you can plow around in the fairways and everything, you don't have to come here, but to put this up.
Yes. I believe me, it boggles my mind sometimes, but.
All right. Any other
That's
questions?
fine, I don't care where it goes, to tell you the truth.
So this still has to be approved by the Board of Selectmen, though, too, right?
I believe the contribution does, yes. Yeah, people want to give us stuff.
Lousy
What a machine.
As I say, I built the.
It's your government at work.
Yeah, I built the scoreboard on Hot Meadow, which was 5 times this size, and did it in half the time that's gonna take me just to get the permits here, so.
All right,
Anyway,
let's-
that's progress.
Let's put Mike out of his misery here. Someone want to move?
I move we approve application 14-18.
Looking for a second.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Approved.
Thank you,
Thank you,
gentlemen.
Mike. All right. Good job. Item 7, status of the
I
following.
don't want to ask what he's doing around the pond.
Last week, the Hartford made some comments on the draft code
those comments were forwarded to the consultant. The changes that the Hartford wanted were made. The code is back now. It'll be sent back to the Hartford for their final review tomorrow morning, actually, and will be posted on the website as soon as they give me the word that they're happy with it. I would suspect by the next meeting, I'll have it back to you for, just simply for your review, if you care to read it. I'd like to schedule the consultant to come back probably in, I think it's June 16th, I think is the meeting, if I'm correct. And that June meeting, just to come back to explain to all the land use commissions during your meeting what the code is, how it works, any comments you might have about it, so on. We're hopeful that we'll get an endorsement, not only from the Hartford, but we would like to schedule that to get it adopted as soon as possible, should they approve it. We expect that they will.
Are you looking at a meeting of all the land use commissions in one presentation, or?
Yeah, I think that's probably right. I think that makes the most sense. And I think that I'd like to do it during the meeting of this commission, if possible. We have to refer it to planning and refer it to design review as part of the referral process. But this commission's the one that gets to decide whether they like it or not, or whether you like it or not, and whether it gets adopted or not. So that's where that is. Anyway, it take a little bit longer than I thought it would take to get the revisions commented on by the Hartford, but we got the revisions done within 24 hours after we got them. So we're back to getting it squared away as soon as possible. So we think we're in good shape with that. We're looking very forward to that process moving forward. I can't really say anything specific, but I can only say that I'm encouraged by some of the discussions that I hear have been going on about that property. So I'm very excited about that, and we hope that the code will be a big part of what happens there in the near future. So,
All right.
big Y.
Big Y.
Big Y. My understanding is, and I've seen some paperwork to this effect, that the adjacent landowners have worked through some of their questions with the Big Y. That easement that has been signed or has been in the process of being signed is just very nearly worked out. We expect that the construction will actually start sometime this summer. Because Big Y won't occupy the building if they're not complete by October, we expect that the construction will actually be completed probably sometime in 2015 rather than 2014. They just don't want to open during the holidays. I guess that's their really busy time. So while construction may be going on, we don't expect that they'll be open this year. So that's the reality of it. So moving forward by small steps.
So do they have a contractor hired and everything? They're like ready to go? They're just waiting for the stuff to get signed?
I don't know, Jerry.
Okay.
I honestly don't know. I've only heard from the Big Y on a couple of minor things, and that wasn't one of them. I didn't ask him that.
I haven't seen any survey marks or anything. I mean, I know that can go quick, but doesn't seem to be much
Yeah.
activity up there.
I mean, the survey's been done. We had the final plans on our desk. The town engineers reviewed them. We had some comments on drainage, some minor comments on drainage and things. But as soon as the closing takes place, we assume that the construction could start fairly quickly after that. So.
I haven't been up to town. Have they started work on the Pride gas station up
gone.
there? Oh, it's gone.
It is level, baby.
Okay.
There's nothing there.
I don't go up that often. I know they're working hard on the one
You
down.
also seem to be digging on the side of the hill over there. I don't know what that's about.
Putting a wall in.
There's a retaining wall, actually on both of them. And we actually talked to the building official just before this meeting tonight about that. We had talked about putting that fence around the HVAC units on the roof on that north side, so we want to make sure that that does in fact happen there. We tried to get them to turn the building. That wasn't possible. We tried to get them to turn the roof. That wasn't possible. So we want to make sure that fence to screen those HVAC units is there.
They're rebuilding the building the same shape and size that it was?
Yeah,
No, they're putting up their own building.
whole new building.
But the new building can look like the old building?
No.
From the point of view
No.
of the way it is, it's gonna be.
No, turned around.
Whole new building. I think it's
at a 90-degree angle to the street, facing the pumps, right?
Right.
Yeah. It's a much better design.
But the size of it, is it growing?
42 by 46, I think, was the dimension on the building.
The
So
old one was,
Oh, I bet you the gas station was bigger than the building he's putting up. The one down below, it's gonna be a bigger building. Because that was just like a,
that's
Yeah.
just a little
Little
small
hut.
one. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's right, exactly right. And the buildings are both the same size. So I think they're both 42 by 46 at both stations. Both have retaining walls, both the same architecture.
he's got a brand new one on Windsor Locks. I caught my eye when I went by it the other day. He did one over on Route 75 by the airport.
Yeah,
And that must be his model.
it is.
Because they-
the one he showed us
They
pictures
just
of.
get a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller, depending on the lot, but they're great looking.
Yeah.
I mean, he's,
they just finished one not that long ago in Southwick.
the Pride, oh, that's right, yeah,
Yeah. And that's, again, facing the,
yeah.
Well, that's certainly, it certainly will be a help to that whole area. I think that'll really pick that whole area up, certainly, and obviously if the Big Y is across the street, I think that'll be a little bit of a boost to that whole area as well, so.
You can't get Wagner to knock the rest of the stuff down, huh?
Well, my understanding is, and I don't know too many details, but as soon as the Big Y deal is consummated, then the rest of it will follow shortly thereafter. There are a lot of discussions about that lower 6 acres already. So I think that be an interesting summer and fall in terms of what we see for that property.
I'll ask about one other property, which is the pool barn across from Dunkin' Donuts. What do you know about that?
Yeah, Design Review actually asked this evening as well, because I guess somebody had put a sign there, something about no gas
No
station or
gas,
something.
yeah.
The status of that is that the owner of the property has been to the Conservation Wetlands Agency with a plan for that property. They've been through several meetings to discuss the property. Public has been actively involved in some of those discussions. But after much discussion, the Conservation Wetlands Commission approved the application. We haven't seen it yet because it's not become a zoning application. But just in short, it does talk about a convenience store. It does talk about a significant rehabilitation of the pool barn building. And some of that would be small retail spaces. There may be some other uses that are proposed for that building. The pool barn building is pretty significant building, obviously, not only in terms of size, but I guess its history was kind of interesting.
Right.
Had a lot of really interesting things in there historically. But no question that part of the plan that we've seen sketches of, but never any paper yet, does in fact contain potential gasoline pumps for the convenience store.
Was that a tobacco shed at one time?
It was where the shed where they used to actually wrap the cigars. It was where the wrappers, and then the train tracks were right there where they used to ship from there as well.
Oh, okay.
So my
that was that, okay.
It was kind of a finish operation where the
Yeah.
inside of the building has a lot of very nice woodwork on the walls and so on. It's a pretty significant and substantial building, very substantial. As a matter of fact, in terms of the owner thinks that they have a very good opportunity to sort of rehabilitate the whole thing and make it into a really nice building. And the amount of money that it's going to cost to rehabilitate that building is substantial. And so when you look at the numbers for the whole project, you need to take that into account as well. So that's what in part is driving this.
Yeah, for those of you who weren't here when we had an informal on that, it did draw a crowd, so.
Yep. And I'm sure it will too. And there are a number of issues that Conservation talked about. Groundwater issues, they talked about drainage issues, they talked about proximity to other structures and other uses in the area and so on. And we fully expect that those will be addressed when they talk to the commission. Whether they're satisfactorily addressed or not will be, of course, up to you, but we'll do our best to get them lined up as best we can to make sure you see a good, clean, complete application.
Well, as the Aquifer Protection Agency or Commission, will we have to look at it?
Not a mapped aquifer. It, many people thought it was, but it's not a mapped aquifer.
Well, I think if he applies what Pride is applying with the liner and the special sensors and the special fuel tanks, and I don't know to this day and age if it really is a big issue anymore.
No, I know.
I think
No,
that
this
I mean, I'm not
was
right.
this was neighborhood noise and access from
it's
people who
probably
live on the
over.
other side of the
Yeah.
path, but it's zoned industrial or retail.
currently it's zoned business, and so there's probably going to be a proposal to rezone the property some way, however that shakes out. The history of the property is, and you'll get a staff report on this in detail later on, but there were some variances that were granted for selling automobiles, from doing automobile work there before. The only thing that's not allowed there, based upon what they're proposing now, is the actual dispensing of gasoline. So, don't want to make you have any kind of discussion about that ahead of time, but there have been a number of discussions about protecting whatever groundwater there is. There is neighbors in the area that are concerned for a variety of reasons, and we'll research those well and have that information in your staff reports too.
We just had so many gas stations disappeared in the past 30 years in town.
Two are coming back.
Yeah.
But they're both on the wrong side of the road for me, Ned. Not that it's all about me.
Okay.
If you can just cut the Dunkin' Donuts and the gas station on that side of the road, then I'm.
What you need is a drive-through, full-service gas station Dunkin' Donuts, then you'll be all set.
Now we're talking.
And maybe you'll watch
All
the
right.
car when you go through.
I did see one of those
You
the other
can
day on the
watch your
Berlin Turnpike, Jerry.
Huh?
I did see one on the Berlin Turnpike the other day. So. Not suggesting that it ought to look like that, believe me.
And so, just last, the car wash at the south end of town and all of
Just gonna
that.
ask What is going on with that?
What is going on down there?
Slowly. The process that's been going on is basically in accordance with the plan that was approved. I don't think that any of the vacuums that were approved have been installed yet, at least my last look.
I looked the other day.
They
Hasn't
have,
really done much.
no, they have a lot of paving and a lot of work out in the
Right.
back. So there's a lot of money going into the site. We can't see a lot of it right now. New paving in the front, of course. And they have asked us about signs, and I'm sort of wrestling with how to get that back to a place where there was no internally lit sign in that property before. Whether that comes to you as something else, I don't know. One of the discussions about that is that there's a sign there that used to flip, that used to say open and closed. You know, one of the things that they talked about was whether they would like to have some sort of sign that was changeable. I want to be really careful, and so that I know exactly what they're talking about when they say that. If they're talking about open and closed and the sign's already there's not much we can say about it. However, if it's a sign that says, you know, get your car wash here, you know, free this on Saturday.
Blinking LED lights.
I want to be really clear as to what they're asking for, and they've been good so far in terms of explaining it to us. But I want to make sure that when you see it, we're clear as to what we're looking for.
Of course, it's across the street from the wall of light.
Actually, that has added more color. They now have a pillar inside that changes color.
Is that
The
right?
Hoffman side?
No, inside the Toyota, the white wall there.
Yeah.
Inside that dealership now is a.
Did I say Hoffman? What did I say?
No, yeah, it's Hoffman, but it's the
Toyota,
Toyota.
yeah, right.
But it's floor to ceiling and it changes shades.
If it's inside, there's nothing we can do about it.
Is that a glassed area?
I'll have to take a look at it, Kev. I don't know. I haven't seen that one at night for some reason. I don't know why, but I'll take a look.
There's two of
That
them.
was a high, hard one that got approved.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, we digress. It's now 7:45.
Oh, and last thing I'm going to say is that I have been given permission to ask the Board of Selectmen for a funds transfer to get our zoning regulations complete revision underway. So I'll be doing that.
That got approved?
Well, not approved yet. I've got permission to ask the Board of Selectmen to ask the Board of Finance for the money. That's as far as I can go right now.
That's a huge step.
It's like pushing a rope, Mr. Chairman. We're working on it.
Okay. All right.
Time to adjourn. I move we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
I just want to mention too, Tom Roy, they have a fundraising for the Solarized Simsbury. They want to put a thermometer, temporary thermometer on the front lawn to show how much money we're getting. Anybody have any problems with that? They want to put it up tomorrow, I said.
Just one of those painted boards?
Yeah, it's a painted board. It says-
Temporary thing they can do, right?
That's my opinion, I just want to be sure. When you see it tomorrow, you
Yeah.
don't call and say what you're doing.
Oh, and now that the meeting's over, but I will say that